School. It's where I've put most of my time and effort over the last 4 months.
And it's been very f***ing draining. But hey, it's over now, and during that time I actually made some pretty cool stuff, and I thought it'd be a shame if it never saw the light of day. So here's a showcase of the stuff that I made throughout my first semester of college.
The first project I want to talk about is the self-portrait project. This project was actually a take on my profile photo, which in turn was a remake of a piece of art a close friend made for me. It's also the photo I use on all of my school accounts now. Next is Sunsets. This work is made out of 20 stitched together portions of a few sunset photos I had taken around that time. Toward the top, all the sunsets are a very similar color, but become wildly divergent as you head toward the bottom. Moving on to the focal point unit. Here we had to make two designs, one with a focal point and one without. This is Triangle Scatter 1. Many triangles are thrown around on a rainbow gradient, warmer toward the black diamond and cooler away from it. All of these triangles were individually arranged and colored. Now on to Texture Heaven 1. Here, the background is a smooth gradient and the shapes are solid colors, giving off this very strange textured effect. I actually came up with part of this design completely on accident. Beside the midterm and final, this unit by far was my favorite in the 2D design class. Next is the balance unit. We were instructed to show different kinds of balance, or lack thereof, using exclusively dots. Not much to say about this one, other than perfecting the dots in the bottom right part of this work took far longer than I'm willing to admit. Alright, moving on. For the midterm in my 2D design class, we were given a set of 18 principles of art forms, and had to use 5 sets of 3 of them in designs. Here they are. This design is called the hill. There is a hill. Big shocker. There's also the sun and crappy building on the left. Fun fact, I had to recolor all those bricks manually. It sucked. This design, titled From the Other Realm 1, shows 2 figures waving to each other from opposite corners of the image. I think they're pretty cute. This one is called Galactic Arms. In the design, there's 8 spiral arms coming out of a black hole, all comprising this galaxy figure. This is Triangle Scatter 2. This second iteration used a bunch of triangles on a gradient background, though this time using just the secondary colors. And finally, Circles on Circles on Circles. Yeah, it turns out my midterm naming scheme was subpar, because while my class grade on the midterm passed, my personal grade on my names clearly didn't. Anyway, here in this work are 3 arrays of circles stacked on top of each other, with the color inverting for every additional circle on top of a point. Also made either side's base color opposite to add some contrast. And that's my midterm project. I'm really proud of how this came out. The next thing I made was the road sign project. Essentially, our objective was to create a simple, realistic road sign that, without words, could communicate its intent. So this is what I made, a road sign that directs drivers to follow the road straight off of a cliff. My other concepts for road signs give a similar vibe to this one. Moving on to the line project. Here, 25 continuous lines run left to right across the design. On the left, the lines are organic, and on the right, they are geometric. The middle third is where the transition lies, each having a unique style of transitioning. At least I think. I don't know, there's probably a duplicate or 2 I missed in there somewhere. And now for the final in my 2D design class, wherein, like the midterm, we had to select 24 design principles and use them in 12 designs. This first design was a keyboard that I recolored to a secondary color scheme. I'm an avid piano player, so it'd be a crime if I didn't do anything with a keyboard. This second design shows a small island on an ocean. I don't know why, but I'm personally really drawn to these waves for some reason. Next is Triangle Scatter 3, the final in this series and also the only piece of mine to reach 3 iterations. This iteration takes it a little bit differently and instead places the triangles in a tiled arrangement, leaving no gaps. The large triangle in the center is a blue-purple color, and the rest are the other 5 tertiary colors. This design, titled From the Other Realm 2, I made by tracing a photo I took of myself, cropping it, cloning it, and mirroring it. Also, I'd like to think the reference photo I used for this is pretty funny out of context. For my 5th design, I chose to use a complementary color scheme. Conveniently, the non-binary pride flag has both yellow and purple in it, so I decided to use it in this design, hence the name NB Wave. Doesn't it look nice? Fun fact, the waves in the island were created using the stripe object from this design. Design 6 is titled the Cosmos. Within it are a star, a planet, and a bunch of distant stars. The objective here was to use a primary color scheme, and I still pulled it off, even if I had to tint and shade a few colors. Next is the Comet, made up of a comet in the center along with a bunch more stars around it. As an aside, this and the prior work were designed to be put together. Work number 8 is Texture Heaven 2. Just like the previous iteration, solid color shapes are placed on a smooth and similarly colored background, giving this textured effect. In this case though, it's quite a bit weaker as the color contrast from corner to corner is much smaller. I still think it turned out great though. Work 9 in my final is the Shadow Amalgamate, composed of stacked shadows of 6 shapes of increasing numbers of vertices. Originally there were 8 stacked shapes, but I had to delete 2 of them as 8 shapes made the design too mushy. This one is called Together, showing 2 happy people with a heart between them. And yes, I did base this guy off of my hairstyle. I was completely out of ideas at the time and didn't want to get stuck on my final over a hairstyle. The penultimate work here is called Fire of the Soul. Here, a set of cup hands summons fire. This too had a funny reference photo in my opinion. And the 12th and last work in my final is Pulsating Pink, showing a bunch of pink diamonds pulsing out from the center, getting lighter toward the edge. This final was my absolute favorite project in the class, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I even got better with my naming.
Now, while all the previous projects in this video came from my 2D design class, these last two projects came from my digital foundations class. The first of these is the Logo Bump project, wherein we took a logo from earlier in the semester and animated it. Take a look! Yes, those are my initials, and no, I'm not telling you what they are. You can probably figure out what the first one is, though. The last thing I'm going to show is the title sequence project. Title sequences are the things at the beginning of movies that basically show you what the movie is and who's in it. And me being me, I decided to make mine a parody. Here it is. So there you have it, a bunch of the cool stuff that I made throughout the semester. And honestly, I'm really glad it's over. There's another semester after this? Well, shit.